Hello and welcome everyone to my second comparison video where I'll be going over all the changes made in the movie version of Batman Under the Red Hood from its comic counterpart, which just so happens to be my favorite Batman story, as well as my top 5 animated movies. Oh, and Death in the Family 2, I guess, all 5 minutes of it. Now, once again, I am far from original, and someone has actually done this before. However, it's not the same format that I do, and I really like the character of Jason Todd, so I figured I'd do this anyway. Batman Under the Red Hood is the story of, well, the Red Hood, a new crime boss in Gotham making moves against the newest kingpin, Roman Sionis, aka Black Mask, and is eventually revealed to be Jason Todd, Batman's former sidekick and the second Robin, who was murdered at the hands of the Joker, now going as a new alias previously used by his killer. The story focuses on Batman uncovering the Hood's identity, as well as how he deals with this revelation, eventually ending in a climactic battle between the dynamic duo. Now, for this video, I'll be covering both the changes made in Death in the Family and Under the Red Hood. Now, the Death in the Family, like most cash grabs, doesn't have much to offer, so I'm going to be looking at only the first 10 minutes or so, as the rest is a set of what-ifs or short films to justify the price tag of over $10. Also, as usual, scenes that get shifted slightly in the timeline won't be covered. Also, no minor dialogue changes unless they actually have a story implication. Go see my rambles in the Dead Man Wonderland video to see what I mean. The first change once again comes in the very first pages of the comics, where Batman takes Jason off a street patrol because he rushes in without Batman, putting himself in danger, and after talking with Alfred, Batman realizes that Jason is acting rashly because he's still grieving for his parents. In the movie, the event that leads Batman to realize this and take Jason off of active duty is Jason being too rough with criminals, which does happen in the comics, it's just not the catalyst for Jason being taken off active duty. Which is weird considering that in the Death in the Family comic, Batman specifically throws a goon at Robin because he knows Jason will hurt him more. In the comic, Batman tries to talk to Jason and explain that he's doing this to try and help him. However, in the movie, Jason runs off right after making it known that he was eavesdropping. In the comic, while on a walk, Jason is found by an old neighbor of his who had collected some of the Todd's family's belongings to give to Jason. Going through these, Jason discovers that Catherine Todd isn't his biological mother, a plot point entirely removed from the movies, and I have mixed feelings on this. Yeah, you don't need Sheila Haywood or Catherine Todd for Jason to get the crowbar, but the big point in the story in both versions is Jason's unresolved grief for his parents. So taking his mother out of the equation pretty much entirely feels wrong. In the comic, Joker goes to Ethiopia to sell a cruise missile in order to sell it and get into politics. In the movie, he goes to Bosnia to sell uranium to Ra's al Ghul, which feels off. I get that the Lazarus Pit is integral to Jason's return, but Ra's working with Joker feels off to me. Oh, also, like I just said, in the movie, the events of the Death in the Family are in Bosnia, whereas in the comic, they're in Ethiopia. Not sure why this was changed, don't want to get into it. In the comic, the reason Batman travels to Ethiopia is that he uses the Batcomputer to search for the woman who could be his mother. In the movie, he tracks Joker to Bosnia in order to take revenge after the events of the Killing Joke. Wait, does that make the movie version of Killing Joke canon? Okay, thank God, no. In the movie, Batman is tracking down Ra's al Ghul. In the comic, Ra's isn't involved in the story yet. However, Ra's is my favorite Batman villain, so hey, I'll take it. In the comic, Jason is tricked and held at gunpoint by his real mother, Sheila Haywood, who gives him to the Joker before the clown would kill them both. In the movie, Jason went in alone and got captured, so I guess Joker snuck up on the 16-year-old bullet-dodging ninja? Or outfought him? Look, Arkham Knight made this more believable, and even that got retconned, and it was still stupid. In the comics, after Jason's death, the Joker somehow becomes an Ethiopian politician and gains diplomatic immunity before immediately losing it. In the movie, Batman tracks Joker down and, in the Joker's own words, puts him in a body cast for about 6 months. The comic version of these events has been cut from the movie because it ends up going nowhere and is one of the stupidest plot points I've ever seen. And I love it. The Under the Red Hood comic opens up during Batman and Red Hood's first fight, ending once Jason unmasks himself but cuts away before showing us his identity, just showing that Bruce is shocked by who he is. The movie opens up with a flashback to the events of Death in the Family, which absolutely gives away the twist as to who Red Hood is. Though, considering it isn't much of a twist in the comic in the first place, I don't really hold this against the movie. In the comic, Jason's jacket is black, whereas in the movie, it's brown, which, considering the rest of Jason's suit is either bright red or already a dark gray, helps him stand out more visually. Just add the bat symbol and you have an almost perfect design. In the comic, Wayne Cord Industries R&D's branch is bought out by a collection of German tech companies, eliminating Lucius Fox's ability to make Batman new gear. In Red Hood Lost Days, this is revealed to be Talia al Ghul weakening Batman in order to help Jason, a plot point which doesn't appear in the movie. Probably because it never comes up again in the Red Hood storyline. No, really, Batman, despite this, still has all of his gear. In both the comics and movie, Jason responds to being asked if he has a death wish by pointing out that he's currently holding an AK-47. Except in the comic, he isn't. Now, from what I can tell by searching up guns, I think this is a modified Type 56 RPD light machine gun, but I'm not sure. However, I am confident it looks nothing like an AK-47. The movie fixes this by giving him the right gun. In the comic, we're directly shown the heads in the duffel bag Jason throws at the drug dealers. In the movie, we're only told what's in the bag. Gotta say, I don't like this. I get it was for rating purposes, but come on. If Titans is doing something better that isn't suit design, then you're making a mistake. In the comic, there's a brief scene where Black Mask finds and hires Mr. Freeze, and this is also the scene where we're introduced to Black Mask, so add that to the counter as well. Whereas in the movie, it isn't until after Amazo is destroyed. Now this results in us losing 4 scenes from the movie. One where Freeze builds a new suit, one where they talk business, and a scene where he fights Nightwing, Red Hood, and Batman along with his introduction. Also in the comic, Black Mask's assistant Lee is a man, whereas in the movie, they turned this character into a woman. I have literally no clue why they did this. It affects nothing. They have the exact same dynamic, but now Lee is a woman. In fact, it feels like they wanted to be inclusive and make a somewhat important character female, but they decided to go with the Asian assistant, making it feel like they stereotyped Lee. In fact, if they had kept the original storyline for Lee, where she ends up murdered by Jason, I'm pretty confident they would have kept him a dude. In the comic, Nightwing joins Batman before he interrupts the tech theft and helps him out. Also, there's no dialogue explaining who Nightwing is for casual Batman fans. In the comic, the goons raiding the dock are decked out in high-tech gear and are later revealed to have been working as security for Black Mask. After the ship explodes, Batman sees Jason watching down from above and decides that he must know something. But in the movie, the guys working at the docks are basic street thugs and are explicitly working for the Red Hood. Red Hood kills them, and that's what kicks off the chase in the movie version. In the movie, the chase is relegated to Batman and Red Hood in a vehicle chase after Amazo is destroyed, ending in a confrontation at Ace Chemicals where Red Hood references the Killing Joke. In the comic, Nightwing and Batman chase Red Hood on foot, which ends when Jason leads them to Amazo. Okay, so I don't know if this fits here in the timeline or not, considering that this part of the story differs quite a bit, but right after the first chase in the movie, Batman and Nightwing visit the Joker in Arkham because of Jason using the Red Hood identity, the same one as Joker used in The Killing Joke. The scene ends with Joker proving he didn't do nothing to bats. In the comic, around the same point in time, Red Hood calls Black Mask in order to try and force him to buy back the kryptonite for $50 million. The scene ends with Black Mask talking him down and pretending to agree to a deal before sending Mr. Freeze to kill him, which results in the scene I already counted. Also, the comic has way more banter and interaction with Red Hood and Black Mask, and I wish the movie had included some of it, as their interactions are honestly pretty nice. In the comics, there's a scene where Dick is about to suggest having Barbara help them out, but he remembers that that isn't an option anymore. Now, I'm not sure about the context surrounding this, but at the start of the book, it makes it seem like Barbara is fine, but no longer assisting the Bat Fam, stating that some familial ties have been severed. In the comic, Jason gets to Joker much sooner. Remember how I said that scenes being slightly shifted won't be covered? Well, here, Jason is not only revealed as the Red Hood, but is captured and beats the Joker at the end of only the second issue in this storyline, much sooner than the end of the story reveal in the movie. In the comic, we see Jason making a move on Black Mask's turf by blowing up a truck filled with guns, which we're told is the 6th in 2 weeks. In the movie, he takes over a helicopter weapons delivery, which we see him and Batman eavesdrop on. Also, I'm not sure where else to put this, but Black Mask openly assaults his underlings at least twice in the movie. I guess the crime lord selling drugs to children and buying weapons for his criminal empire wasn't evil enough. In the movie, when Jason takes the helicopter, Batman and Nightwing are there again and stop this, resulting in a foot chase which takes them to a trap set by Jason where Nightwing is injured, taking him out of the story. This scene is mainly taken from the first chase in the comic book, having several key moments from it but ending differently. In the movie, Batman discovers that the Red Hood knows who he is after Red Hood calls him Bruce, resulting in Batman's suspicion that Jason is the Red Hood. In the comic, Batman already has his suspicions that Jason is the Red Hood, having felt something similar while chasing him with Nightwing. As a result, he goes to talk to Zatanna about Ra's Lazarus Pits, Jason Blood, Green Arrow, and Superman about Resurrection, with him being particularly clothed with Zatanna and Green Arrow, hinting that he remembers an event from Identity Crisis where Zatanna and Green Arrow erase his memory. Now, that's a whole other can of worms, but if I'm gonna go on a tangent, it needs to actually be related to the story, so let's move on before I get an aneurysm. In the comic, Red Hood teams up with the Green Arrow character Onyx, teaming up with her to stop a group of drug dealers. Here we learn that Jason has a habit of decapitation, and Jason is able to get Onyx on his side for the fight, but after he unloads on them with a fucking minigun, she remembers that 5 minutes ago they said he took the heads off of 5 people. She threatens him, but he stabs her in the shoulder, disabling her for a short time. In the comic, Batman confronts Jason after he stabs Onyx. They get into a fight similar to the final battle in the movie, but with a lot more banter from Jason, revealing some of Batman's tactics. The fight ends similarly to the first bout between Batman and Jason in the movie, but after blowing up his helmet, Jason dips out. In the comic, the flashback is a little different from the movie, including a scene where Batman finds Jason taking the Batmobile's wheels, as well as explaining why something like that would normally be impossible. The scene with Captain Boomerang is replaced with the Riddler in the movie, which, considering it's a Batman-centric story, I don't know why they used Boomerang in the first place. In the comics, Batman examines Jason's coffin, talking with Alfred, who tries to get him to rest and process what he's going through. A scene which is mostly absent from the film. In the movie, though, Batman does dig up Jason's coffin, but sees that there's a fake body inside. Okay, so I forgot to record this the first time around, but in the movie, when Jason's older, he's actually wearing one of Tim Drake's suits. Whereas in the original continuity, Jason only wore the original Robin suit, even as a 16-year-old boy. In the comic, Jason sets up a low-end drug dealer's den to explode. Batman tries to stop this, but Jason doesn't give him enough time and the building goes down. In the comics, after Jason blows up Black Mask's office, the entire floor is taken out, not just Black Mask's room. As a result, Black Mask executes his security advisor, and right after this, Deathstroke shows up and makes Black Mask an offer to join the supervillain organization known as the Society. And in return, Deathstroke brings some villains in to take out Red Hood, including Captain... I don't think I can say that, so let's just say Captain World War II Germany, and the Hyena, as well as Count Vertigo. In the movie, Black Mask hires the Fearsome Hand of 4, before Jason blows up his penthouse. This group, as far as I know, doesn't exist in any comic continuity, and the fight is mainly the same until Count Vertigo uses his powers on them, and afterwards, Batman tricks Hyena into taking down Vertigo, and Jason kills Captain World War II Germany, resulting in 4 characters replaced and 4 entirely new additions. In the movie, Jason is cut by a member of the Fearsome Hand of 4, leaving blood for Batman to analyze and uncover proof that Jason is the Red Hood. In the comic, Alfred has a flashback to a young Bruce on one of the few times he was ever happy. This transitions into a scene where Jason gives them proof that he has the Joker, with both of these scenes being missing from the movie. In the comic, Jason tricks Black Mask into calling his remaining dealers and executing them, pretending to call for peace and join forces. In the movie, Black Mask instead escalates things by seeking out and freeing the Joker from Arkham Asylum, resulting in the best Joker scene in either version of this story. Okay, I swear this is the last time, but I once again forgot that the movie adds a scene where some goons hired by Black Mask kills a janitor and then breaks the Joker out. In the comic, Red Hood fights Black Mask until Batman shows up, where Black Mask gets the upper hand and stabs him through the heart. However, here it's revealed not to actually be Jason, but an underling he sent to distract Black Mask until Batman showed up. Jason then does the exploding helmet bit again, and Black Mask is captured. In the comic, Black Mask reveals that Jason killed Lee, and that this was his breaking point for hearing him out on a deal. In the comic, we get a scene of Jason punishing the Joker, where he explains that his crusade isn't about the clown, and even manages to wipe the smile off of his face, which is just so fucking satisfying. In the comic, after Batman lets it slip that he's thinking the same way as Red Hood, Black Mask actually figures out that Jason used to work with Bruce. I don't think he pieces together that he was a former Robin, but still, that's pretty impressive. In the movie, Batman visits Ra's al Ghul, confronting over Jason's resurrection. Ra's then explains that he put Jason in the Lazarus pit in hopes of bringing him back to life as repentance for his part in Jason's death, but that Jason came out changed. In the original comic, Jason was actually revived by Superboy Prime breaking reality with his fists, resurrecting Jason, who was then brought back to full strength by Talia dipping Jason in the pit with her father. In the comic, Jason mentally is just fine after his Lazarus pit bath, and Talia helps him escape the League of Assassins. In the movie, however, Jason is immediately more violent, killing a League member right off the bat, and Talia tries to kill him but is stopped by Ra's. Now, I actually like, while Ra's had nothing to do with Jason's death in the comic, he's still deeply affected by his part in the movies continuity, showing some more humanity in a very complex and often oversimplified character. Also, it helps that Jason doesn't develop a surrogate mentor/lover relationship with Talia in this version. Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay, last time, I swear. In the comic, it's revealed that Jason actually did appear before coming back as the Red Hood as the villain Hush, briefly teaming up with the real Hush and giving him some of Batman's secrets for the opportunity to face Batman one-on-one before challenging him as the Red Hood. In the movie, Joker captures Red Hood's dealers as well as Black Mask and his remaining dealers and Lee and douses them in gasoline, before Red Hood shows up and captures him, because obviously the Joker's gonna backstab you. He thinks it's funny. In the movie, we get a brief cameo from Jim Gordon confronting Joker on the bridge. In the movie, Jason's plan is far more convoluted, specifically targeting Black Mask to get the Joker out of Arkham, whereas in the comic, it was about proving a point to Batman that his methods didn't work, but Jason's did. As I said before, he already had the Joker by this point. In the movie, once Batman gets to Crime Alley, he has a flashback of Jason stealing the wheels from the Batmobile. In the comic, at the start of Jason and Batman's last fight, the Society drops the villain Chemo on Bloodhaven, effectively nuking the city. Batman wants to go to search for Dick, but Jason forces him to stay and fight. And yeah, I don't like this scene, especially considering that Jason brings up the people he and Batman are both supposed to care about later on in this same issue. Now, I get that this was back when Jason was a straight up villain, like no anti-hero gray area crap. This Jason genuinely wanted Batman dead, but he still seems almost happy about the idea that Dick is dead. And again, I know that in the post-crisis continuity, they hated each other after this event, but by now, what did Jason have against Dick? But to be fair, at this point, I'm really used to Jason being on good terms with the other Robins, so it's probably just me. In their final fight in the comic, Jason points out Batman's tactics mid-fight, trying to play mind games with Batman. However, this doesn't work and Jason gets his ass handed to him. In the movie, Jason only does the exploding helmet bit here once he unmasks Batman and then himself. Also, the fight in the movie spills out onto a church for the start of the second half of the fight. I don't know if this is supposed to be symbolic or if it's just done because it looks cool. In the movie, Jason and Batman fight in a bathroom with no door. Seriously, rewatch this scene. The only way out is through the window. In the comic, Jason manages to finally get to Batman when he threatens to kill the Joker, resulting in Batman throwing a batarang into his shoulder, disarming and stunning him. In the movie, Batman manages to provoke Jason into shooting him, which he then uses to disarm Jason of his weapon. And I gotta say, I like the movie version a lot more. I'm fine with Jason getting to Batman and making him lose his cool, but over the Joker, it just feels wrong. Batman keeping his cool and that being the reason he wins is much more satisfying and works better thematically. I've stated several times in my live streams that Batman is a mentally deranged psychopath, and I stand by that, which is why Batman's strongest quality has always been his willpower. He says it here himself that if he started killing with just Joker, he couldn't stop himself, which is the biggest difference between the two. Jason kills because he feels like it needs to be done. Batman's system is broken and doesn't work, but unlike Jason, Batman can't just put it down who he needs to. He knows that he's dangerous and that he needs to keep himself in check. Wait, I'm rambling again, aren't I? Okay, point is, the movie feels more in character and works better thematically. Also, since I've already gone off the rails, it's back up to 8. Suck it, winner. In the movie, Jason uses the last of his strength to activate the explosives and Batman does what he can to save him. In the comic, Joker is the one to activate the explosives by shooting them with a gun, which I don't think is how it would work in real life, but hey, you know what? It's an excuse. The movie ends with an extended scene from right after Jason's reveal in the comic, where Alfred asks Batman if he'd like Jason's suit removed from the cave, but Batman says that it doesn't change anything about what happened. The movie also adds one last flashback from the first time Jason put on a suit, ending the movie on a more emotional note and bringing up the last difference between the versions. Man, I love this storyline. Despite the movie and comic having some pretty drastic differences, including several cut characters and story elements, the movie not only manages to keeping most of the important beats and emotional gut punches, and while a big amount of stuff was left on the cutting room floor, they went ahead and added a few scenes of their own, so considering the 1 hour and 15-minute runtime, including credits, it's understandable that they left out quite a few things. Honestly, I'd love to see the storyline done with a longer runtime. I've heard rumors of the DCEU wanting to do a Bat Family storyline, but outside of Peacemaker and maybe Suicide Squad 2, I still haven't seen it. I think the DCEU is kind of shit, so I'll be skipping that if they do it. And that'll do it for this video. I had a lot of fun with this, and I'm probably going to add these videos to my schedule for the foreseeable future, as again, I do want to branch out from just doing Versus series content. But for those who do only care about the Versus series, first of all, thank you for getting this far, and like I said, it won't affect my scheduling of other content that, you know, the majority of my audience is here for. As for next time, well, before the current season is done, I want to try something different and do this with an interactive media, and compare Resident Evil 1 as well as the remake version. And if that isn't too much of a hassle to script and record footage for, then I may actually do the other Resident Evil games as well as their remakes. But that'll do it for this video. Once again, thanks everyone for showing up. It has been a blast as always, and I will see everyone next time.